Welcome to the Growth Arena podcast, where we'll dive deeper together in the arena of personal growth, mindset, and finding happiness in the everyday grind. I'm your host, Dr. Kaan Celebi, entrepreneur, physical therapist, father, husband, and of course, relentless explorer of what it takes to thrive in life. Episode 25, Self-Integrity. Becoming someone you respect. Last week, we talked about something that quietly erodes your belief in yourself. That was known as the trust gap, right? The space between what you intend to do and what you actually do. If you missed that episode, definitely go back and have a listen. Today, we're going even deeper because that is the trend of season 3, really working out the inner kinks in order to make sure that we're moving in the right direction in your ultimate growth. And today, we're going to go even deeper because here's the thing, even when you feel like you're doing all the right things, even when you feel successful, there's still a part of you that can feel off. And why? Because you're out of integrity with yourself. This is about more than just motivation or goals. This is about self-integrity. And it might be the most underrated piece of this personal power piece or this season. So let's break it down. We want to break down what it is at a spot when you're out of alignment and how to begin living like someone you deeply respect. And if you're new here, I need you to go back to season 1 and listen to the episode of defining your core values. That episode lays the foundation for what I'm going to build on today. Knowing your values is where it starts. You need to know what defines you, who you are, what you live your life by. But living them, right, that last piece, that's where your power comes from. When most people hear the word integrity, they think of ethics, doing the right thing, not lying, being honest. Right? It was one of my core values that I written down and I talked about. But self-integrity is deeper than that. So if you want to get into more of a real definition, if you look up in the dictionary, integrity means firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values, incorruptibility. And if you want to expand on that, self-integrity is really all about alignment between your actions, your values, and the person you say you want to be, or the person you say you are. The word integrity, to go even deeper, and I had to look this up, comes from a Latin origin, integritas, which means wholeness or being undivided. So when you're acting with this self-integrity, you're not fractured, you're whole, you're clear, you're grounded, right? But when you're out of alignment, when your actions and values don't match, you feel it. Even if things look great on the outside, this is where internal tension creeps in. You might just feel off, unsettled, or even anxious. Not because something externally is wrong, but because you're not congruent inside. And there's so many of us out there that live these lives. On the outside, everything looks great. You got the family, the 3 kids, the house, great area that you're living in, great school district, tons of friends, and successful, making money, but something still just doesn't feel right. So how do we know that you're out of integrity with yourself? Here are some signs. You say yes when you mean no, right? We've all done it. We're yes people. Somebody asks for favors or our boss asks us to do something. And it's like, well, really no, it might not be our thing, but we say yes anyway. Or you're chasing goals that don't feel like yours anymore, that you thought were once successful, this is what you thought you wanted to do maybe 5 years or 10 years ago, even longer than that, but they just don't feel like yours anymore. Or how about you're doing work that pays well but drains you? You've been in a job or a career 10, 15, 20 years even, making great money, maybe a high position, but it still just sucks the life out of you. You live for the weekends. You hate during the week and you dread that Monday. You got those Sunday blues. And this one's a big one. You achieve things, but they don't feel fulfilling because the way you achieve them didn't match the why that matters most to you. Here's a key line to remember. Out of integrity living doesn't always feel chaotic. Sometimes it's just that off feeling, that low grade friction, that feeling of being disconnected from yourself. That's the cost of alignment. For me, this concept of self-integrity became very real after the birth of my second daughter. And I did touch on this earlier in season 1 because it was a life-changing moment for me. And it was very hard to see how fast life was moving until I had what I call a little bit of a breakthrough moment for me. After my first daughter in 2016, we shortly thereafter bought a house. We were trying to make that house our home. I was in a big hospital position. I started in 2015 and was growing a department there. So everything was just going. And I never really thought much about it. From the outside, everything was fine. Things were great. We just had this beautiful home, dream home where we wanted it. We were having a second kid and it was exciting. Our family was growing. And it really didn't hit me until after I took some time off. After my second daughter was born, I finally had a small window of time just to be quiet. And I still will always remember this time. It was 4 weeks that I took off. Yes, it was still crazy because obviously you have one 2-year-old at home and then you have a newborn at home. Things are obviously still very, very crazy, but there was always some time of reflection because I was off from work, completely offline, and I was on night duty. So I would give my wife a time off so she could sleep. And if the baby was up, I would be with her, changing her. And then when it was time to feed, I would wake up my wife and then, of course, resume the duties. But newborns do sleep from time to time. And those are the times where, especially at night, everything's super quiet. It was really a lot of time that I had to myself to think, to reflect, to really sit in stillness, silence. And I just felt a strong wave of something wasn't right. Something was just a little out of alignment. And as the days went on during that time, the feeling got stronger and stronger and stronger. And I knew what I was doing, the work that I was doing, the career path that I was on. Yes, most people would say it was a successful one, but for some reason, it didn't feel right. I just didn't see myself doing this for the next 10, 20, 30 years even. I knew I had more to offer, and I didn't realize that until I actually just sat in on it and thought about it. I never gave myself permission to really consider what a change might look like. And that moment of quiet reflection was a huge turning point for me. I realized it was more of like a now or never moment. If I didn't step out of my own and create something that aligned with my values, I might never do it. And really, that's what I did. I literally went back to work after my 4 weeks. I gave my resignation and I made the leap. And even though it was scary and uncertain, it was the first time in a long time I felt like fully me. Like I felt fully alive. Like, hey, holy shit, I'm doing this and I'm moving forward. Because that feeling got so strong, so deep, that I knew I would never be able to forgive myself if I just let that go and resumed my life. Sometimes life gives you these moments and it's a chance to breathe. And if you don't take them, life just keeps moving. And that's why we have to create this space to listen within. Because if you do listen, if you actually do listen to your gut, to your mind, to your soul, you take a moment to realize that, well, you start your new path. But if you don't slow down, you'll miss the message your inner self is trying to send. So how do we take that time to realign? Here's a few things that can help. Number 1, revisit your values. Go back to them. Have they evolved? Have you drifted from them? Clarity is the first step. And like I said, if you haven't watched that episode in season 1, core values, watch that first and come up with core values. If you've never written them down, figure them out. Make sure they're by your side so this way you can revisit them. And if you have taken the time to write your core values down, or revisit them and make sure that aligns with who you want to be. Then number 2, audit that behavior. Ask, where am I out of alignment with what I say matters to me? Be honest with yourself. You can't change what you won't confront. So it has to match up. If your actions are not matching up with the values that you've decided who you are, well, the only way that matches is you need to figure out what's not working and how can we slowly put those things into place. Number 3, this is the micro adjustments. You don't have to blow up your life. I don't want you to think we don't make drastic changes. It's small changes over time. How do we start small? How do we speak our truth in one conversation? Set one boundary. Say no once. Whatever it is, how do we start that process? It's super small. We don't need big changes. We need small, little, consistent changes and build momentum that way. Number 4, use empowered language. So replace I have to with I choose to. We always say this. I have to go to work. I have to do this. I have to go to that appointment. I have to get this work done before the weekend. But you don't have to do anything. And that's the craziest concept to understand because it's so stupid, but you're choosing this. And I know the argument is like, no, I have to do it because of XYZ. But no, you are choosing to do this because of XYZ, because you think this is a priority over something else. That's always what it comes down to. But that simple change puts the power back in your hands. When you start speaking like that, you understand what you're doing with your life. Because even if though it doesn't feel like choices, they are always choices. Number 5, keep promises. We talked about the trust gap. Keep promise to yourselves. Just like last episode, rebuilding trust with yourself is part of living with integrity. Small wins matter. So if you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you say you're going to show up, you show up. If you want to make a change in your life, whether it's personally or from a career standpoint, whatever it may be, whatever you start with, make sure you start to execute that plan. And one more tool that's honestly helped me personally, making space to sit in silence. I know it may sound like a very strange concept to people, especially if you don't take the time to do this, but even just a few minutes a day. That could be through whatever your medium is, prayer, meditation, walks, quiet car rides, just something without distractions. Life can be so busy. Distractions with your work life, personal life, kids. There's always something going on. And if you let those things run your life, it will go in the blink of an eye and you will have no idea where your life went. But if you actually take the time to give yourself a little space to hear your own thoughts, that's often where alignment starts. And I didn't realize that till 2018. I didn't realize that till I had that time to sit in some quiet, sit in some space, sit in my own thoughts. And when you do take that time, you really hear your inner voice. You really hear, are you doing the right thing? Are you living the way you want to live? Are you missing out on what you feel like your life should be? And this is where alignment starts. It's not from doing more, just listening better. When your behavior starts to match your belief, something shifts. You stop needing any external validation. You stop feeling anxious in your own skin. And then you stop overthinking everything because now your actions, they actually feel right. So here is your challenge this week. Pick one area of your life. Maybe it's your work, your health, or your relationships. Take some time to have some quiet, to have some stillness. And then the question you want to ask is, am I living in alignment with my values here? If not, what's the smallest, the tiniest little action I can take to bring myself back into self-integrity? It's not about perfection. It never is. It's about congruence. And when you live congruently, you walk differently, you speak differently, you lead differently. Self-integrity is magnetic and it is contagious, just like anything else. Small steps, consistent steps lead to momentum. So let this be the week you start becoming someone you deeply respect. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time, right back here on The Growth Arena.
Thank you for stepping into the growth arena today. I hope you found value in this episode and feel inspired to keep leveling up in your mindset, personal growth, and road to happiness. Remember, growth is a journey and not a destination. The most important step is the one you take today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who's ready to step into their own growth arena. And for more information and insights, connect with me on Instagram, Kaan_Celebi, or visit us on YouTube at _growth arena. Until next time, keep growing, keep pushing, and I'll see you back here on the next episode.